Right. Too true, too true. Moms are often, if not always, right. Moms in the room, let me just say on this day, we're so thankful for you. Watching you come in with your kids, for me, just produces a lot of joy, particularly the moms that I've known for a long time. Some of y'all know from when we started this thing and what you've done, investing in your kids. I mean, can I say I'm proud? I don't know if that's appropriate. I'm certainly grateful for your investment in the future, not only for this church, but for the future of our country, of the gospel, as you have invested your time and energy into your children. Thank you. Thank you for all that really hard, good work. One of the things on Mother's Day I know is always true in this room is there's this need to appreciate those who have worked so hard for us, and then there's pain in the room. There's always a significant amount of pain on Mother's Day. One, there's a group of folks in this room that have lost their mother in the last 12 months or the last little season of life, and so this day is particularly painful. We as a group can be aware of that and help surround them. We've got folks in the room that have lost a child, and it has this deep pain in their heart right now. We've got folks in the room that have lost a child that's just kind of gone in the ditch. They're still living, but they're in the ditch, and it's just a painful season for them. There's folks in here that have dreamed about being a mom, but for one reason or another, that has not been a possibility for them. There's this variety of pains connected to this day. That one of the really cool things about being followers of Jesus is we're able to meet people in pain, and when they celebrate, we can do all that today at the same time. So we want to thank you so much, the moms that have served us so well, and those that are suffering right now. As best we can, we want to be with you. Let me pray for all the moms in the room, and really for all of us. Thank you for my mom, Lord. Thank you for all she taught me, and she represents a lot of ladies in this room that have put in countless hours and sacrifice for the good of their children. Pray, Lord, this morning you would encourage them. Such a weird day, and on one hand, we really want to encourage moms. On the other hand, it puts a little weight on them in a different way. So just want the day to be good for our moms and for them to be encouraged and energized to go forward. Pray for those that have pain this morning. Jesus, you are the great comforter. You claim it in your word. You don't lie. You tell the truth. So we grab onto you as the comforter for those that are feeling that this Mother's Day. I pray that you would meet them in their grief and that you be close and good to them. We want to be good. So as a community of believers, Lord, show us how to care for each other, both in celebration and in pain. Be with us this morning in Jesus' name. Amen. We started a series last week. We called it Island Life. It's out of the book of Titus. Titus is a young man that got dropped off on an island called Crete. He got dropped off on this island called Crete, and his job was to establish cities all around the perimeter of Crete. Big island, not like one of the little islands. It'd be more like Jamaica, be that size island, big old island, and there's a lot of work to do. And so he's supposed to work the outskirts of that, and in every city establish a church. There's some believers there, just the churches aren't functioning well, and so he's going to establish leaders. Very quickly, we saw as we read the chapter last week that this place is crazy. This island life is crazy on the island. And so Paul was instructing Titus, hey, you're going to need some dudes. We said that. Cheryl said I can only say dudes a couple more times in this whole series, but you're going to need some people that can stand up against all the movement in island life going this way. They're going to have to be able to push back the other way. I used a phrase last week that I didn't love. I said they were going to have to stand against. And what I mean by standing against, we're not standing against people, right? We're standing against the world's philosophies. We love the world when it comes to people. We love world, so we stand against philosophies, but we love people. And that's pretty pretty unique responsibility for a shepherd of a local church to be able to do both, to stand against philosophies and be really clear on what the Bible says and still be overtly loving everybody in the community. They're supposed to be known for their good deeds, but they're also supposed to be known for how they stand in the truth. It's very interesting. Churches for centuries tend to be either truth churches or love churches. And there's pros and cons to both of those things. It really seems as you read Titus like our leaders are supposed to be good at both truth and love, and be able to hold them in tension and use them appropriately at the right time. And so last week we read through Titus and we saw all these qualifications of what a shepherd of a church that could handle truth and love at the same time might look like. I'll just read you the last verse 9 of that little section. It says, he must, speaking of the elders or shepherds, he must have a strong belief in the trustworthy message that he's taught. So he's solid. He's sunk into ground. He's solid on what he's been taught, and he will be able to encourage others with wholesome teaching and show those who oppose it where they are wrong. So he's solid, but he also seems to be able to move toward people with the good news about Jesus. I could not help on Mother's Day, but as I was reading through the qualifications of the elder, think about the qualifications of a mother. Like, there are no qualifications, right? Like, it just happens. Well, we won't get into the details of how it happens, but, like, it happens. And you don't really have to meet. Nobody takes a test before you. We probably be a better world if there's a little test that you took before you became an elder or a mother, right? Like, or a president or a congressman. Like, it'd be great if there's this test to take. There's not one, but the Bible does give some ideas on what a godly mother looks like. So I thought I'd read through them. I actually Googled this at first, which is not the best way to study the Bible, right? I'm like, I wonder what Google says about good mothers. So you always, when you do that, you want to go, okay, this is not what God says, because some people think Google and God are very similar. But like this is going to give me some ideas of what the world thinks. And then I went to a website that I trust. If you want a really good biblical website, it's one called Got Questions, and it'll take you through a really quick answer to simple questions or silly questions. If you're like, what are the qualifications of a godly mom? Here's what they said on Got Questions. Number one, godly moms are available. They're known for their availability. These days, you're more available than you want to be, right? Like it's in your pocket, you're available. And they use the passage in Deuteronomy that the Jewish folks call the Shema. It says that we're to teach in morning, noon, and night. Moms get availability. Like, in some ways, moms in the room, you're like, I don't really have a choice. I have to be available. Like, it is this beat down of availability. We're new parents. We had our first. He's crying at like 3 a.m. Cheryl's nursing him, and I look over, and she's got one foot on the floor and the rest of her body in the bed, and she's sound asleep. Baby's crying over the monitor. We didn't have these picture monitors you guys got now. Like, you could actually hear him crying up there, and I'm like, probably means I ought to do something, right? Like, I'm laying here. She's available all the time because she's physically feeding this child. This availability thing, moms in the room, thank you for all the work you do being ready at morning, noon, and night. Dads aren't off the hook on that, but certainly in ancient society, dad's probably out in the field most of the time, and the mom is re-emphasizing the truths throughout the day. She's involved. I've witnessed this in my own home, interacting, discussing, thinking, and processing together with her children in a way that is extremely underrated. From when the kids are little, having these conversations that you thought you'd never have, moms, you know what I'm talking about? Like, you're having these conversations you never thought you'd have, and you just wish you could talk to an adult for like 3 minutes. It would be a relief from the day. Cheryl's got this little, she got these 2 birdhouses in my yard, and one of them, somebody gave it to us. It looks like a church. And my granddaughter, Amelia, came over, and she goes, that's bird church. Like, how you talk about that? Like, I'm like, Cheryl can just pick up a conversation. Hannah has to pick up the conversation. Like, how do you talk? Well, do birds go to church? Well, they do in my yard. Like, figure this thing out. As the kids get older, I used to get tired of watching a movie with the family and something happened, and Cheryl, like, paused the movie, to discuss what's happening. I'm like, can we watch it in flow? She's like, no, these guys need to, that's a terrible representation of what a man and a woman are, how they're supposed to relate together. So in the middle of a movie, we got to talk about sex with the family, with me sitting right there. Like, is this how it goes? It's amazing what that does for a child as they learn to process as they watch or take stuff in. This massive role for moms being involved all the time. It's a tiring role, right? The Bible speaks a lot about moms being teachers in the home. Titus is literally going to do that in chapter 2. He's going to make that abundantly clear. And when he's talking about teaching moms, like, I don't know where you are in your phase of being a mom. You got to know the Bible. You got to know well enough to teach it. If you dream about being a mom, if you hope to be a mom, then start now. It gives you this advantage later, but there's this expectation that the good news about Jesus and a biblical worldview will be passed on by you better than I can ever pass it on, or some podcaster. Moms are the closest to the action there, both with warnings and encouragement. Moms are trainers. I can remember Cheryl teaching the kids to read. If you've ever watched me read on stage, you realize it was probably a good thing I didn't teach the kids how to read, right? Like, at our house, I did the math, she did the reading, and she made reading fun, so she read books to the kids, and so reading became this part of their lives. All of them read better than me and enjoy reading. It was this skill that she wanted them to know was part of the training. Training's beyond that. You train by helping them discover their skills. My son Israel's in the room. By the time he got to college, if you know Israel, he's really ordered. She's like, you might ought to think about accounting. Because you like stuff, like moms are studying kids, helping them see their future, helping direct their future. And there's this humility that comes with that, where you're thinking about the child really more than you think about yourself. That is beautiful and hard, as I've witnessed it. Moms have this ability to believe in their kids and also tell the truth. Like, they go hand in hand. And at times, one or the other can get out of control. Like, you tell the truth so much that you beat the child down. And on the other hand, you can believe in them so much that you puff them up and they walk out in the world and they get beat down. Because everybody's like, no, you cannot play receiver. I need you at offensive tackle, right? Like, I know what your mama said, but no, we don't need you to sing. Could you park cars out there? Like, your mama, I know your mama thought you could sing. So there's this training process. I saw a stat this week. I thought it would be appropriate with the stats I shared last week, that a child is 63% more likely to pray with his mom in his teens or her teens than anybody else. Father, student, pastor, 63% more, and they said 71% more of a chance that he or she is going to talk to their mother about the Bible than anyone else. This is Barna. This is actually a very accurate statistician. It's this amazing role, ladies. It's this humble, amazing role where you get to pass the good news about Jesus along to the next generation. We get on the dads and the men all the time here, but you guys have this thing in your hands the future is riding on. We're reading through Titus every day for some of us. One of Cheryl's strategies when we do something like that is to leave her Bible open to Titus, like on the dining room table or on the kitchen counter. So the kids have to see it. They have to interact with the Bible on the table. Good idea. Moms have to, according to the scriptures, have to be good at discipline. For some of y'all, that's really easy. The vast majority of moms, that's a little challenging. Like, it's difficult to bring the heat, but it's imperative that you figure it out because our children need to have a fear of the Lord. And if they don't have a little bit of fear of mom, then clarity kind of comes off the grid. They don't know how to operate. Show me where the lines are, mama. You got to show me where to hold the line. We have one son who's not here today, so I can pick on him let's not clarify what type of discipline he received, but when it happened, he just seemed like life was good again. Like, he just needed a butt whooping. Let's just go ahead and say it. Like, and when it happened, He come out of there happy as he could be. He just need to know, where was the lines, Mom? Where's the lines? Oh, that's where the lines are. Cry real hard, come out, life's good. Let's go. We've lost some of that in society. It's one of the things that we're really afraid of. We really hurt our children by not giving them clarity, which requires discipline. Not all corporal punishment, that's a little tiny piece of discipline. But discipline indeed. Number 6, nurture. I love this because, man, I'm reading through this list and I'm thinking about my wife and her being a mother. And I honestly reading through and thinking about how little of this I did and how much she did. And how little she's talked about. Because of all that work and how much credit I get that I didn't earn. It says constant verbal support. If you met any of my children, none of them have an accent. There's a reason for that. Because Cheryl doesn't have an accent, and she's got at least 20 words to my 1. Some would say 100 to my 1, right? Like, and so the kids didn't get an accent. She wished they had an accent, but she did all the talking, so they got her accent, which isn't an accent. Because she's constantly verbally supporting, correcting. There's this constant conversation going on. Hey, when you nurture a child, they've got to have some freedom to fail. That's really hard for some of moms in the room. Like when little Jimmy can't hit the ball as far as little Joey and he doesn't get to play, Mom. Like it's this moment where it's okay. You can't fix that. This acceptance, affection that moms provide that is so unique and beautiful. This unconditional love that moms offer when done right, all strong biblical ideas. And finally, which this probably should be common sense, they're a model of integrity. So you can do all this stuff, but do you live what you say? There's some folks saying it's caught, not taught. Well, it's both. I like to say it's caught and taught. So you teach it and model it. I heard a great quote the other day. You teach what you know, you reproduce who you are. Great quote from moms in the room this morning. I witnessed this in my home. I'd really not seen this done much before. When Cheryl would cross the line in her own mind, she'd gather up the kids and apologize for what just went down. So it's not talking about perfection, but it's talking about owning this leadership responsibility I have as a mom. So nothing wrong with apologizing. So I go through that list, and I know what's happening in the room for single folks. Like, what about me? Single ladies, like, whether young or old, what about me? Man, take that same list. And I got a lady in my mind in this room. She lives out that list without children. She is one of our best disciple makers in this room. There are people that, adore her because of her love, her availability, her involvement in their life, the way she teaches and trains with love. And she's a game changer for Radius because she takes all that and gives it to them. For younger single ladies in the room, you've got this unique ability to encourage people you probably hadn't even got your head around yet. It's something God gave you. It's connected to your gender. You got the advantage on the young dude in the room. This ability to encourage folks. Now's the time. Go ahead and start using that thing to the glory of God. I took my mama to dinner on Thursday night. We went to Meat and Three right near her house, which is where they like to go. And my dad sits quietly so my mom can, tell me whatever stories are going in Anderson. She always tells me about somebody in Anderson that she thinks I was best friends with. I don't even know who they are. I get to hear all this stuff. But oftentimes when I tell my mom, thank you, mom's in the room, you're going to feel this. She has this regret. My mom had 4 children, I'm one of. If you meet my mom, when you think the word swagger, you think my mom. All right, my mom walked in here today at 78. She just got swagger. I don't know what it is. All 4 kids got it. I might have the least of it, quite honestly. Like they all got it, but she's got this regret. Like she wanted to make A++ as a mom. So 93 for moms in the room feels like failure at times. So she'll start crying when I'm thanking her for her good work. Hey, let me say that to the moms in the room right now. A++ is impossible. There's no A++ moms in the room. 93 is knocking it out of the park. And at some point, young men or young women are going to make decisions on their own. You could train them in the way they're supposed to go. They're going to make decisions on their own. And I want this morning, I want you to hear from me. Thank you for all your hard and vigilant work with your children, both when they're young and when they're old. Cyril's mom is 94, and one of her friends had passed, and Mrs. Stewart said, I need to keep living. I got to pray for my grandkids. She ain't quit yet. Still trying to live out these motherly qualities for her grandkids, understanding who God is, trying to pass it on. No matter how this early part, here we are today. We start over, moms. We start working at this thing again. Thank you for what you've already done. Truly grateful for the moms in this room that I know well and watch you raise your kids. It's what this passage is talking about. The whole world, and I would argue this is some of the most difficult times in the history of the world. The whole world pressing this way, and you standing firmly and walking into it with truth and still aware people. Able to have truth and love, moms in the room. It is a challenging job. Thank you for taking it on. Titus is going to address this world, he says in verse 10, about this world all pushing one direction. For there are many rebellious people who engage in useless talk and deceive others. This is especially true of those who insist on circumcision for salvation. They must be silenced because they are turning whole families away from the truth by their false teaching, and they do it only for money. Verse 13. This is true. Verse 12. Even one of their own men, a prophet from Crete, has said about them, the people of Crete are liars, cruel animals, lazy gluttons. Verse 13, this is true, so reprimand them sternly and make them strong in the faith. They must stop listening to Jewish myths and commands of people who have turned away from the truth. So you got Paul representing to Titus, this is the way the world is. It's all pushing one way. You've got to raise up some leaders, some shepherds, and moms in the room, you can feel this shepherd in your own home, who can stand against, not people, but the philosophies. He says of the philosophies, the Cretan reputation is that they're liars and lazy gluttons. I thought that was particularly interesting in the nation we live in. Not a whole lot of people in the world think of the United States of America as lazy. Perhaps we think of ourselves as lazy, we think of others in our community as lazy, but that's not what the world thinks. Because some of us will work ourselves to death. But they do see us as liars at times. In this particular case, the Cretans, that word is actually used worldwide. So it wouldn't be true of us, but they do see us as liars. And I love the way Paul's pushing back against the culture. In verse 2 or 3 of the chapter, he says, God does not lie. I love it. They worship Zeus. They say he was born on their island, buried on their island. It's a long story, and so the poet's making fun of them a little bit for this relationship, so-called relationship that they have with Zeus. And Paul comes back and goes, hey, my God, he doesn't lie. And he particularly about eternal life. Moms and elders in the room have to represent truth in a world that's full of lies. Y'all know CNN's lying, right? Don't laugh too long. Y'all know Fox is lying, right? Like, what, 50% of the time? How much of the time? It's really funny if you flip through your phone on both. If they both have the same article, you go, dang, that might be true. Yeah. Otherwise, it's all spin. We're pressing, man, it got quiet in here. Y'all got nervous about that, didn't you? That's what a good mom's got to be able to navigate those waters, so that children aren't caught up in it, so that children don't just get sucked in. Good leaders, good shepherds got to be able to call it what it is. Why do you think they got the website, what is it, Snopes or whatever, where you actually can go find out if it's actually true or not? Because people particularly in the media, are consistently promoting lies to gain control. What's the passage say? So that they can make money. You think them news stations are going to make money if they don't push their agenda? No, everybody stops watching. So they have to press it and press it. And if they got to bend the truth a little bit to get another dollar, that's what they do. Moms, elders, leaders, it's our job to stand apart from that. Have you noticed how refreshing it is when somebody just tells the truth? I mean, a lot of people are refreshed by me making fun of CNN and Fox. They're just so sick of the people that argue one or the other. Anybody really like Charles Barkley? Watched the game last night. It wasn't on TBS or TNT. Charles Barkley's not on there. Well, he's entertaining, and he got a lot of flaws. But you know what? He's just going to say what he's thinking. It's like truth is probably an overstatement for Charles, but truth, like he's going to say what he thinks true. And it's just refreshing for somebody not to go through all the political exercise of trying to say just the right thing and not hurt anybody's feelings. Moms, I know it's a difficult place to be, but when you stand for the truth, you just set your part. There's something so refreshing about you. Men in the room, so refreshing when a dude has the guts to just speak the truth. I mean, with love, let's not miss that. Where the society is dying for this. It says they're lazy gluttons. Again, I don't think anybody would say of us that we're lazy, but everybody would say that we're consumers. That's why on Wednesday, a lot of us are going to fast from food for 2 meals. And a lot of us feel like death at about 1 p.m. Because we're consumers. We eat so much. We travel the world. Americans travel the world. We're the biggest people on the planet. Why? Because we eat and eat and eat. I didn't mean that to be personal. I'm just like, that's just a fact. So we fast on occasion to remind ourselves so that we, not unlike the world, just continue to consume to our death. We talked about giving a few weeks because in our country we spend everything we get generally on ourselves. And so the followers of Jesus, we give some of our stuff away, which makes us really weird in this world. But it's super refreshing when you run up against somebody who lives generously. Their stuff, they're not holding it like this. They're not just dreaming about what's next. Their hands are open, and there's this great joy in releasing it to other people. It's so refreshing. You feel the difference? Like if you're standing against people, then you can hold on to all your stuff because it's yours. But if you're standing against philosophies, then your hands are open, and all these people going this way, caught up in the tide, they got to deal with you. You're living generously. Look at when you hold like this, why they want to deal with you? The stuck up, full of it people. But when you're against the world's philosophies and you're for people with your stuff, it's beautiful. It's refreshing. Our time, that's why a bunch of y'all serve here at Radius. You serve in your neighborhood because your time, you got your hands open with your time. It's a good moment just to go, hey, are we like the Cretans? Are we gluttons? And if so, how do we check that? So mamas, it's like, don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys. Is that song? I think that's the song. Like this is like, mamas, don't let your babies grow up to be Cretans. Don't let your babies grow up to be liars and gluttons, which means you're going to have to tell them the truth, which means when little Johnny will pick on my name, lies, like in my house, everybody gets really nervous when somebody lies because it's unacceptable here. Don't let them be gluttons. Don't let them consume everything. When they're playing video games, put a time limit on it. Don't let them be consumers. I don't mean 4 hours. I mean like an hour or 30 minutes. Well, show that we can have self-control in this house. So Paul writes Titus and he goes, hey, we're on this island, got all these people. You've got to save them from this big pot of Jewish teaching and Cretan teaching and a little dab of Jesus. Like the island of Crete, they've kind of they know something about Jesus because some folks were in Acts chapter 2. They were at the day of Pentecost, and it's actually in Acts chapter 2. They got saved. They came back to the island. They had some Jewish teaching, so they knew about circumcision. You see that in the text. They came back. They're teaching circumcision. They're teaching about Jesus, and they're teaching about Zeus, all in the same. Feel like South Carolina, doesn't it? Like people go to church, and they just got this big pot full of all this stuff that they pour in. It's true of some of us in the room. He's saying, nah, this is all about Jesus. Let me read it to you a little bit more. This is true, so reprimand them sternly to make them strong in the faith. Again, he's for people. They must stop listening to Jewish myths and commands of people who have turned away from the truth. Everything is pure for those whose hearts are pure, but nothing is pure for those who are corrupt and unbelieving because their minds and consciousnesses are corrupted. So we've got to get all the way to the heart. The law won't do it. The teachings of this world won't do it. Self-righteousness, left or right, won't do it. It's going to have to be the Holy Spirit transforming our hearts. And that'll change the world. Let me just pause for a minute, because when I think about that big pot, I can't help but think about religion. So when you got circumcision in there, the myths of the Jewish myths, and useless talk, I think, man, that's a wide variety. Circumcision is like, for Jewish people, it's connected to their ethnicity and religion. And then you've got these myths that may or may not be in the Bible, but it's all this added talk. And then you got this, one translation says mere talk. It's all this other stuff that's going on in the world. We got all that, man. Today with the social media, we got all kinds of stuff getting poured into the pot. And if I just meet what is the standard? Super confusing. I just want to say to you, I really don't think religion produces godliness. Let me say it more strongly. It produces the opposite. Instead of gratefulness, it produces pride. So here in a minute, we're going to take the Lord's Supper. And in some strange way, there will be a few in the room that think you deserve to take this. When I ask you how you got saved, you'll talk about you instead of about him. It's just what you know. Hey, man, I've done blank. You fill it in. Instead of producing gratefulness, it produces pride. Let's just slow down on that one. Some of y'all been in church your whole life. I read that a few times, and I just had to examine my heart and go, where's that true about me? Like, if you go to the church, it's the best church ever. When you leave, it's the worst church ever. What's that say? It's all about you. It wasn't about the church at all, or Jesus in the church, or it's all about you. Your marriage, it's the best marriage ever until it's not. And then all of a sudden, you can't look at him. You can't look at her. Oftentimes, as I see marriages fall apart, when there's not something catastrophic, it is because of self-righteousness. One partner or the other or both have become full of themselves, and their husband or their wife can't meet the standard that they've set based on their strengths. So all of a sudden, that thing that was beautiful, that was the best ever, is now the worst ever. And so, you got to leave. Self-righteousness, religion, is what religion teaches. And on the opposite end of pride, where we're kind of full of it, is if we fail to meet the standards, then we fall into despair and things fall apart on a totally different. But by the way, the folks in despair and the folks that are full of it, very, very similar folks. When you fall into despair, you give in to porn forever because, like, I'll never win this. I'm a loser. I'm just gonna fall in, right? You go down the list, alcohol, whatever. I'm not trying to make addiction light. Addiction, we can get to that, but eventually you have to hold it out and deal with it. Give somebody else a chance to help you walk through it. We'll fall into despair. It's really just another form of pride. Man, moms in the room, This is to you, leaders in the room. It's to us. But he's saying, how about, would you guys stand with the truth and love in a world that's self-righteous as it can be and offer something different? Would you offer the hope that you actually know a God that paid for you? You have no business in his presence. You have nothing to be proud of except for what he did. It's all this freedom that comes from that. When you don't have to perform because he performed. When you really give yourself over to over to Jesus, you fully surrender your life. If you're just religious, you have this partial commitment. You negotiate the terms. I'll follow you if. I'll give if. I'll not do blank if. I will do blank if. I'm expecting him, instead of a relationship that's just like you just driven to the stuff because of love, you're all in because you're in love. Like it's this negotiation, so tiring to negotiate all the time. If you're religious, instead of worshiping God and using things, you worship things and use God. Anybody remember when Kanye went Christian? We call him Ye now. Kanye goes Christian. One of my best friends, a good friend of mine, goes, man, it's just a matter of time. I'm like, what are you talking about? This is amazing. He's like, nah, it's just what artists do. When they stop making money on one going this way, then they make money going this way because Christians are suckers. And they'll get all excited about what they're doing, and they're going to give them a bunch of cash. Like he's using God. I'm not busting on Kanye. I'm busting on us. We use God. We say these crazy phrases like, I'm going to speak it into existence. What you talking about? You speak it into existence. Yeah. These dumb phrases, like we're God. So we start using the thoughts and understanding of God, and we start putting it in our terms, and we use this stuff. It's captured in a broad category we call the prosperity gospel. And we quote God. We say, God told me that I can leave my wife. What are you talking about? God told you that. Is God a liar? We use God. Cheryl and I, we watch these singing shows on TV. It's my favorite. No pressure on who's singing here in a minute, but I like criticizing singers. Okay, so no question. And so we watched the show, and they had this pretty cool show the other night, and a bunch of them were singing, quote, Christian songs. And it was moving at times, and at other times, I'm going, wait a minute. Are they using God? Like on one hand, I'm glad they're singing worship on national TV. That hadn't happened in a long time. Maybe there's a revival coming. On the other hand, I'm going, are they? Fair question, right? Moms in the room, you got to ask the question. Is God being used so that they can have things? Because last I checked, them ads on that thing add up to some cash. And the world's taking in. It was interesting watching the variety of singers. And if you're a mom watching one of those shows, you go, that looks like he really believes what he's singing. I don't think she believes it. It's great, like analysis as we go through it, because it's very natural for the religious to use God to get what we actually want, what we actually worship. Instead, when we really worship God, we give up the other things because he's what we love. I think sometimes when we hear folks like sing Christian songs, they're connecting to heritage, not to God. It scares me. Number 4, religious folks, instead of hating sin, you negotiate with sin. There's this algorithm on your phone, if you didn't know it, it's got you figured out. And what you look at, it's smart enough to know to just give you a little bit at a time, because if they go too far, it'll make you really upset and you can't look at it. But if it just takes you just a tiny step at a time, it can get you where it wants to go, so that then eventually you'll be comfortable with this out here. It's negotiating. You're negotiating with sin. What's been interesting in my life and something that I'm still working out is as I grow in the Lord, sin becomes more and more loathsome. it's more loathsome than the punishment that I might get from sinning. Well, I remember Cheryl and I were hanging out, we were dating, and sexually we started crossing lines as a dating couple. Not the great line, right? But these lines. And, man, I would go back to my room because I was growing in Christ, and this other thing was happening in my life. And I would try to negotiate with the sin and even negotiate with the Lord, but I just felt his disappointment in me. Not even his anger. It wasn't the blue lights. Nobody knew. The relationship with him was just putting this weight on me. We've seen that happen in this room all the time. Couple be living together for a season, and all of a sudden, it won't be the blue lights. It's just the relationship with the Lord's growing, and all of a sudden, I just can't live with this anymore. It's bugging the heck out of me. Nobody's yelling at me. It's just bugging the heck out. That's when you know it's moving from religion to relationship because I love the Lord. I can't do this. Dang, I'm out of time. Let me wrap up with this. We're going to celebrate the Lord's Supper right now. And very clearly, he saved us from hell with that death on the cross. So there's celebration in this room, right? When we worship at the end, we take the bread and juice. We remember Jesus died on the cross and shed his blood. He saved us from hell. But what did he save us to? We're always talking about him saving us from hell, but what did he save us to? He saved us to this mission. He's called us to be his representatives in this world. With everything moving this way, he's like, stand up against philosophies, but love the people. Give them what I've given you. He saved you to something, to this life full of hope. So when you come take bread and juice, on the one hand, examine yourself, but on the other hand, embrace the mission. Everybody knows it bugs me that we call this the altar. I do not believe Jesus calls us to the altar. I believe that he calls us to the table. He went to the altar and sacrificed himself on the altar for us so that we didn't have to go to the altar. If you want to repent on the way to the table, that makes a ton of sense. Because when I go sit with Cheryl at the table, we go out on a date, I need to be right with her before I go to the table and eat with Cheryl, or the meal's going to be miserable. It even might be fake. But Jesus is inviting us to have a relationship with him. Come enjoy the relationship with us. He asks us over and over. So if you need an altar, get it out there and then come meet him at the table. It's this great gift to believers, and we walk out into the world and we go, hey, Jesus wants to meet you at the table. I need to quit. Sorry, band. I got a little excited. Jesus, well, thank you for the moms again in this room. Thank you for the great work they've done, and really, Jesus, how they, in more ways than almost anybody else in our society, look like you by their sacrifice and their commitment to their children. Give them energy to continue. This morning, though, Lord, they agree, we agree. We want to celebrate you. We want to celebrate your dedication that drove you all the way to the cross. And this morning we can come remember that event and remember you suffering and celebrate this freedom and life that we have. Lord, I really want our kids, I want us, all of us to get it so we can walk out into our radius and represent you, so we could be saved to something. Help us as we process the gospel this morning. We sing these songs. We take this bread and juice in Jesus' name. Amen.